Hey guys, Mr.Blais here with another art tutorial for you guys all stuck at home trying to get you guys creative and take your mind off things. For today, what we're going to focus on is observational drawing. What we're going to do is we're going to take objects that you probably have lying around the house, something like a light bulb. This is a cool Edison style light bulb with LED filaments in it. I used it for a project in my house. Or maybe a mug, simple mug. Try not to choose something with any words on it or designs. Glass, cup, or last, maybe choosing something like a book. Preferably a thicker book, something that is three-dimensional. That way, as we draw it, the book will not look too flat. Magazines won't have much depth to them or height, so we want to make sure we get something that has some thickness. Now, part two is taking your object and bringing it to life, adding your own little flair. For an example, what would that mean for a light bulb? Let's say you took a light bulb and then you drew a scene inside of it, such as like an aquarium. Maybe there's a little aquarium inside of here. Maybe there's a fish. Maybe it's a full-fledged underwater scene that you saw like a photograph of. You could use a photograph for reference if you'd like to. For a coffee mug, maybe again maybe a creature's inside of it trying to come out. Maybe it's being lifted up by balloons. Maybe there's a little scene on top of it, a landscape. Maybe a little tent with a waterfall scene coming over it. It's really up to you what you add to it. And the last one here, if you chose a book, a neat concept I was thinking about, what if you chose to animate or illustrate the book talking about what the book was about. For example, I have a book with Running with Sherman, and in the book they run through mountainous regions. So what if I took and brought this book to life by drawing what the book was about on it, right? So maybe I'm going to draw some mountains on here, some pathways through old little towns, some rivers and stream, and neat little landscape on top of it. You could also take the book and open it up and draw it this way too. You could draw the book however you like, standing up on its side. So that's your challenge for this week, is to take observational drawing, such drawing something from life, not from a photograph, and to bring it to life in a way that you see fun. Be creative. Make sure you add color, marker, colored pencil, whatever you have. Just shade it. That's cool. But you guys have a good time working on this, and I can't wait to see what you create. Make sure to email it to me or post it on our Google Classroom. Take care. We got this, guys. So the first thing we're going to try to draw is this light bulb. One tip when drawing is making sure to kind of use your pencil to measure how wide or how tall something is. So how I do this is called sighting. So what you can see is I hold the pencil in my hand and then I measure where the tip of the pencil is on one side for the width, and my thumb measures the other side. Whether it's the height or width, it's the same technique. So I use my tip of my pencil to measure the bottom of the light bulb, and I use the thumb to measure the end. So that's about how wide or tall that light bulb is. So that's a technique called sighting. Using this technique will help you measure and make your objects more accurate when drawn from life. Now, when looking at the light bulb, we know that you want to notice a few things. You want to observe that it's more narrow at the bottom and it's wider at the top. So when you're drawing, it should reflect that. Now, we're not going to worry about all the stuff on the inside of the light bulb. We're just going to draw the contour outline of the light bulb itself. We're not going to be shading this part yet. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the bulb part. So if it's easier, what you can do to kind of get started is I'm just going to start down here. Pick a spot where you want to start, like where the metal base is right here. Notice there's a little bit of a curve. And we'll say that's a good size. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the height. Alright, so if I measure it, using the sighting technique, measure the tip of the pencil to the top of the light bulb and the bottom of the light bulb with where my thumb is. Starts off narrow. And gradually flares out. And then at the top, it kind of just rounds off. Also, there is a little bit of a bump at the top that I wanted to add to it. You can kind of always touch up the curve if you need to. Now that we got the basic shape of our light bulb, I'm going to add the base. It comes in a little bit, it's not as wide as the glass itself, it's a little bit more narrow. So I'm just going to measure it just to see how much more narrow it is. Should be right about here, here. Now you notice there's a little groove, so it kind of locks into place. So what I'm going to do is give it some of those little indents. Your light bulb may be slightly different than mine. The next thing we're going to draw is this coffee mug here. Big thing about the coffee mug is knowing the shapes that you have. You notice you see here, when you're looking at it from above, like you are now watching this video, it's a circle. But as you tilt the coffee mug away from you, what you're going to see is more of an ellipse or an oval that's kind of, or a circle that's squashed. And another thing, depending on the mug, you may notice that it may become more narrow towards the bottom. It may be the same width all throughout it. Each mug is a little bit different. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to draw a circle, or in this case, an ellipse, because I'm going to have the mug like it's in front of me. So it's a slightly different point of view. So for you at home, it'll be something like that sort of view. But for this purpose of the video, for my point of view, it's going to be overhead. So I'm going to draw the ellipse that represents the top. Again, we can use the sighting technique to measure the ellipse, like that. Now I'm going to draw an oval or an ellipse. They're very similar. Don't worry about it being too perfect. We can always come back and touch it up. Now I'm going to draw two lines coming off the sides of the ellipse. It's important that you don't draw the lines too far in, otherwise it'll make the ellipse look like it's hanging over the top of the cup, which we don't want. So I noticed that it kind of tapers in a little bit. I'm not going to worry about any designs on this mug. Now before I go too far, I want to see how wide it is compared to how tall it is. So if I measure right here, this is the height, the width, and I see that it's a little bit taller than it is wide. So when you're drawing this, you want to make sure, I measured it, it's going to be a little bit taller. So say down to here, and this here on the side. So I measure the height of that line. Should be a little bit wider than the opening, which is perfect. It comes in, every mug's a little bit different. My mug may be a little bit different than yours. Then I notice here on the bottom, it looks like it curves a little bit, so you want to make sure the bottom of the mug curves. When you have it like this, there's a curve on the bottom, which almost matches the curve for the ellipse. So you can use that ellipse as on the top of the mug as a guide. So there's the opening. Now we have a cylinder. Could be done for like a soda can. You could use a soda can for this too, I guess. Now look where the handle attaches to the mug. We don't want to go up too high. If I were to measure it, it comes down about that much. So I would say from the top, right about there, where the handle attaches, how far does it come out? So I'm going to measure from here to there, and right about where my thumb is, right there. That's about how far the mug handle comes out. Now you just got to adjust the angle. Look at the curve. Don't want to come any further. This is the widest part. Now I'm going to go ahead and bring this handle back in. Look where it attaches. It's just a little bit up from the bottom, so right about here. That helps you figure out the angle. Now I'm going to give that handle a little bit of thickness. And it gets a little thin here. And it kind of curves back here.